Heiner, sorry I'm late. Can you hear me? You
Loud and clear.
okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I overslept by about 3 minutes. My apologies.
Take it easy. I'm anyway doing the um, ring cleaning. You
All
know
right.
what it means?
Well, that's the typical time people get rid of clutter, right?
Well, getting rid of all the noise and all the rubbish in the house.
Yeah.
And doing not just the dishes, doing everything.
Awesome. So you'll end up with a very uncluttered house after today.
Well, I have a visitor tonight.
Oh, that's the thing. You want to get ready for a hot date.
It's a hot year or
Okay. All
hot
right.
century,
All right.
hot times nowadays.
All right. So welcome to you. Welcome to Jack. Uh, Jack, can you hear me? Are you
Yep.
saying it? Okay. I'm good.
Yep.
Now I can hear you. Good.
I like that background.
Yeah, I think I made a reference to it, and I think someone was in agreement that I need to take a mood altering substance in order to justify this background.
Okay, send it to me. I need the mood.
Well, have you
Is
tried
it
psilocybin, Heiner?
is it psychedelic?
Well, I haven't tried it yet. I've been asking people how to do it, and some people are saying don't do it.
Yes, please send it to me.
Okay, so Heiner, just a quick question, and Jack actually also both. Have either or both of you or one of you tried psilocybin?
No.
No.
Either of you? You know what that is? I guess it's commonly called mushrooms.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
No, I don't have to try everything.
that's my motto in life. You know, I say I'm high on life. Why do I want anything else?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Life is
I
pretty
I
cool.
was the designated driver when somebody did a bad high on LSD a zillion years ago.
And they're allowed
Took
to
him up in
drive?
the. I wasn't on it. I don't do that. I drove him up into the hills so he could scream and shout, and the neighbors wouldn't yell.
Well, good thing. Well, hopefully that person didn't cost a life.
I don't recall that that was ever the case, but I just knew that those things weren't for me.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people tell me that you got to try this, you got to try that, you got to try this,
No,
and
that's bullshit.
yeah. The one that I'm still considering, though, because I've heard somebody I respect say it. Actually, no, there's two things. Two things. One is ayahuasca, if you guys have heard of that, and then the other is DMT. And I forget exactly what the abbreviation stands for, but it's the thing that supposedly suppresses all sense of ego and connects you with the universe. That's DMT. I could look up what it actually stands for.
Prozac did that for me.
Ooh, I've heard bad things about Prozac.
Well, you hear bad things, but you also hear good things.
Yeah, I know that
Without
some people
Prozac,
have been helped.
I probably wouldn't have got rid of the leukemia.
So it wasn't necessarily a cure, but it was a symptom suppressor, perhaps, or what?
Yeah, it was when you're injecting interferon daily, you've got the flu 24/7 for years, and the flu leaves you pretty cranky. And, you know, I had read an article in Time magazine but a guy that said, "You'll take this Prozac out of my hand over my dead body." And so I went to my physician and said, "Am I qualified for that?" And he handed me a bag of it. But I'd heard of somebody who took it and it lit him up. So I took it on a Saturday morning. And what was going on was I didn't realize that I was deeply depressed. One of the symptoms of the flu is you go into depression. And so I was going to sleep at like 7 o'clock in the evening and waking up the next day at about 9 or 10. And my kids didn't like that. They wanted to play with dad.
Mhm.
So on that first day, Saturday, I took it. And I'm sitting in bed with my laptop at midnight debugging a program. And I thought, whoa, what happened here? And I couldn't sleep. I was so lit up. I had to think about freight train crashes and all kinds of shit to come down. And I did sleep. And after about a week of that, my daughter would walk in at about 6 in the morning and bang on my foot and say, "Dad, did you take your Prozac yet?"
Mhm. Oh,
That's
good.
when I
So,
knew
okay.
that's when I knew it was working.
So they could definitely tell the difference.
Oh yes, and everybody around me could.
Well, well, my daughter was prescribed Prozac at one point, and I've had mixed reactions on that, but I'm not authoritative. But there were some benefits, there were some negative side effects. And then there was someone else I know who took Prozac. And my understanding, since I know very little about these things, is that it is, in some sense, um, used for anxiety. And this person, the second incident I'm talking about, the anxiety almost completely disappeared, and this person got very aggressive, dangerously so. So those are the two cases I've heard of among people that I know. So you're
Well,
the
so
third.
this is the point is that you cannot predict this.
Yeah.
You literally cannot predict this. You can only try it, but under carefully controlled conditions. Now, here's the deal. The Prozac only worked for a year and a half, and then it stopped.
Okay, so your body gets used to it.
Yeah, your body habituates it out. The same way my body habituated out in injecting interferon. When you first shoot a high dose interferon, you are sicker than dog shit. But after 30 days of doing the same thing, you wake up one morning and you don't feel like dog shit. You're back to about 80%. It's pretty amazing.
Jack, I've heard your story about your recovery a few times. Um, and I actually don't know anyone else who's ever gone through that process and had a good outcome. I don't know anyone else who's actually taken interferon, so I don't have any friends that I could consult for that other than
Well,
you.
interferon is also used for to reduce the symptoms of multiple sclerosis, but it's a different variety of interferon.
Hmm.
There's a zillion different varieties of interferon, but the process that interferon does is it first goes to your brainstem and says, we're sick, shut things down. And secondly, it spreads a message to all the neighboring immune cells, don't divide.
I guess that's what you want for cancer, yes.
That's exactly what they were doing. They were doing immune response modification. That was an early game of immune response modification, but it's what your body does when it detects a virus. The cells themselves, the infected cells will start spitting out interferon. And that's why you get what's called the viral syndrome. Nature made that. But the interferon that was using was basically made by rat shit in a vat.
Well, to me, as a human, number one, it's awesome that nature made that. Number two, it's also awesome that somebody figured out that nature did that.
Well, so this is the whole point of science.
Yes,
And
yes,
and for
there we
RFK
go.
Jr. to ignore it
There we
is just
go.
beyond belief.
There we go. There we go.
Yep. So I it lasted for a year and a half and then it stopped. Um, and I could see some of the old habits coming back. And some of them did, but mostly they didn't. But it fundamentally was why I ended up getting divorced.
Yeah, you told me that story also. Is there more on that story, or can I slightly shift topics?
I'm done.
As a part of a personal check-in. By the way, Heiner, you're welcome to check in anytime. But if okay, I'll go next.
He's
Okay.
doing his dishes.
I'm just thinking, he might still be able to hear us. Right. Okay. So yesterday, I had a really nice visit with my two daughters and my ex-wife because my younger daughter now lives with my ex-wife because that's the only place that she can have her dog. They don't allow that in the apartment that my daughter rents. So that was really nice. And my older daughter, Amy, gave me this workbook. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yep, neurodivergence.
So Amy told me that I'm autistic. So I said, interesting, because I've been suspecting that I'm on the spectrum, and other people have told me I'm on the spectrum. And I've been looking more and more about that wide range of behaviors. And yeah, I can certainly
That's the
recognize
point.
some of them. Yeah,
That's the point. Yes.
yeah.
And, my sister told me I was, and I tend to think she's right.
Yeah, so this was a gift. It's a workbook that she gave me. Then now I'm going to learn more about hopefully myself and how to deal with it. She also gave me three other recommendations. And even cooler, she gave me this. Oh, you can't see it now.
I, I want to hear your story. Yep, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
So it's a book about, all the questions that she wants, you know, a parent to answer. And yeah, sure, of course, this is mass produced, but I like the fact that, she gave it to me. That was pretty cool.
And she has a right to hear it.
I'm glad she's interested. I was
Well,
always thinking
not
she
every
wasn't
kid
interested.
is.
I
Right.
know.
Not every kid is.
For a while, I thought that. Yeah. Anyway, hey, before we launch into other topics, Heiner, would you like to check in or give any feedback? I'll give you 3 or 5 seconds. Ah, there you are.
Well, I told you I have to do my house cleaning, and I'm listening to you. Just check in. I was just sending you this Equinox Peace Bell invitation in 4 weeks. Have a look in your email. We do it worldwide. And I have a friend I just talked to on Zoom. She just came back from Brazil, traveling 3 times 24 hours to go to the latest tribe in Brasilia, I think Yanomami or whatever there are. And she's very much in healing on the medical front. Her father was a brain researcher at East Germany, Humboldt University, and Charité. And so we have this issue of um, taking drugs for good and bad purposes and even losing your life. I know a friend, Rüdiger Lutz, he's not with us anymore. They were trying out of California to do some near-death experiments with a cartographer of consciousness to really see how much you can take in and then you don't come back. So then it is full death. And so I have a very, very mixed opinion about it. But we've been with this Hoffman and all this drugs people meeting in Heidelberg. And my two friends, they are really an expert in all these drugs. And our youth, 25 years ago, did a lot of things getting the first ayahuasca experiments with the youth in the woods far away in the east of Berlin. So I'm just listening to you, being remembered to what crazy things have been happening 50 years ago and how much chance we have missed, but also what strange, weird experiments have been taking place. So, all in a nutshell, come to our Equinox Peace Bell party in 4 weeks' time. And I think it's all about peace. Well, the old saying of love, peace, and happiness.
Okay, thanks. I'll look in my email.
Good, do that.
I will. Heiner, I'm really curious to see whether you can actually hear and possibly participate because yesterday I asked a question that Jack heard and we had a little bit of discussion on it, but it's a big topic. And I was curious to see, Jack, should I ask Heiner that question and spend just a few minutes possibly extracting a little bit more from it?
Why not?
Okay, Heiner, if you can still hear me, the question in its barest, concise form is if you imagine on one extreme the right to privacy, and on the other extreme, the emergence of secret societies, and by secret societies, I'm mostly talking about societies that practice bad things, bad habits, possibly even evil. That somewhere along the spectrum, you would say you don't want this, but you do want that. And yet there's this big divide here. And I would like to sort of lead in on that and understand where to draw the boundaries or if there are reasonable boundaries that could be drawn in a clear way. I understand that everybody can be very muddled and ambiguous about this, but I'm trying to figure out whether there can be a clear way to do this. Okay. Now, right to privacy, Most people wouldn't argue with that. The existence of evil societies, evil secret societies, most people would not want them, but yet they still exist and have for centuries. So, where's the possible balance for a good society? That's my question. Does that question make sense, Heiner? Hey, Kayla.
Hey.
Well, I must say, um, all these thousands of wise questions typically asked by children, not all the wise men can answer. So we have to live it and love it and dance it. So what you're asking is very point on, but also, how do you say, academic, away from life. It depends on the situation where you are at and what is the times. So the history of the secret societies were coming out of very interesting but totally different circumstances than we have today. That's my 5 cents.
Wow. That's my reaction is wow. I was up, I was with you, Heiner, for most of that up until you said it's just academic. Because to me, it looks like it's a very current issue. Kayla, just for context, we had checked in, all three of us here, and then I was asking the same question I asked yesterday, this balance between the right to privacy and the almost necessary, it seemed, almost inevitable emergence of secret evil societies.
Sam, here's your reminder.
And that was the question that I was re-asking now that Heiner, now we have four of us here today. So I just asked the question, Heiner just provided that response. So you're all caught up, I believe.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Before that, Jack had checked in, I had checked in, Heiner had checked in. Oh, Heiner, you might have heard, maybe not. Heiner invited us to the Equinox celebration coming up in about 4 weeks.
Ooh. Nice.
So obviously, I asked that question, maybe not obviously, clearly not obvious to Heiner, but I asked that question because to me, it's not a academic question. It's a question that's top of mind right now with the disclosures that are coming out. And it's not a pleasant topic. I understand that. But we do have to address it if we were to understand what to do next. I'll give you a little bit more context. I saw another reference today to why such information is now so public and so visible, and they don't seem to care. The people who are perpetrating these crimes do not seem to care. And the one theory, which I believe is clearly true until proven false, is that they have lulled the American public into a sense of learned helplessness. We see this, we text about it, we rage about it, we send emails, we make posts, but we do nothing else. That appears to be learned helplessness. No matter what the evil is, we just seem to be putting up with it. And I think that really hit home. To me, it always seemed like, spreading awareness was at least doing something. I think there now needs to be more. Over.
So are you saying there's more evil people?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Unbelievably many. Going back centuries. Okay, so how many here have not seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut?
I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it, but I've heard about it.
Eyes Wide Shut was a very weird movie made by Stanley Kubrick, famous for many other movies, among them 2001. Well, he made this thing called Eyes Wide Shut, and it's about the secret society that gathers in old mansions, operates in the dark of night, full of people in masks, engaging in carnal sexual practices, really abusing women, sacrificing sometimes. People are sacrificed. And this New York doctor manages to find entrance into this phenomenon. So Kubrick makes this, and it's very different from what I thought would be the last movie Kubrick would ever make. And he finishes the movie, and 6 days later, he's dead. And 6 days before his death, or 4 days, something like that, people outside in the hallway could hear him and his producers and funders and investors, etc., saying, "Do not edit my movie. It is my movie. You don't have the right to change it." So 4 to 6 days later, he was dead. And now all of those practices that were in this movie are coming to light, not just in Epstein files, but there's this Canadian guy named Peter Nygard. Have you heard this name? Peter Nygard is the Canada version of Jeffrey Epstein. Also owns an island, in the I think in the Virgin Islands someplace. It's near Epstein's. Also has reputedly, allegedly, minors trafficked to this island. And then I find out that Eyes Wide Shut was a modern retelling of a story from a book that was written in France, hundreds of years ago, a couple hundred years ago, about evil societies, about people wearing masks, about sexual abuse and oppression and rape and mutilation and sacrifice of women and children. So this has been going on for centuries. If you had asked me 1 or 2 months ago, showed me this and said, hey, take a look at this, I would have just shoved it away. I said, not possible. It's 2026. That stuff doesn't happen. I no longer would say that. So yeah, it's not an academic question for me. And there's not enough fighting back. I don't see it anyway. I need to be part of it. Okay, that's my check-in. I'm going to shut myself off for about 30 seconds while I go downstairs and grab my coffee.
Now it gets quiet.
Okay, testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. I'm coming up the stairs. Am I coming through?
Yep.
Okay. All right, coffee in hand. Okay, let me know if you guys are tired of this topic. To me, it's an important topic, but I do understand that it's an unpleasant one.
What is its relation to collaborology?
Collaborology is about how we scale up, or at least identify the first elements of collaboration, so that we can resolve global problems, global issues. So to me, it's very
And
pertinent.
and is Jeffrey Epstein a global issue?
I believe he himself is at least transnational. So that I think makes it global, but it's way beyond Epstein because he's not the only one. He died in 2019. Somebody had to fill that void.
Well, and the fact is that history is full of those people.
Exactly. And by the way, it doesn't just happen with the rich. I know cases where in a local, let's say, community, um, you know, people identified as recluses end up having bones discovered in their backyard after they pass away. So it happens at all scales. Okay, all right. I will shut myself off for at least 1 minute. We can come up with another topic because it seems like this is a difficult one, possibly one that we don't want to have right now.
Here's a headline: America is running out of teenagers. Colleges are worried. And I expect the same thing is happening in Korea and China, for that matter.
Okay, well, I didn't officially set a timer, but I was counting in my head. I think it's been approximately 1 minute. So you raised two things, right? Um, Not enough teenagers, the fact that it's happening in other countries as well.
Not enough teenagers, but what's more important, what does that mean for the universities?
Well, what does that mean for society also? Because Japan went through this, and Japan now has a very, very average age, a very, very high average age, very low birth rate. So the economy will be stressed, of course.
And for collaborology, it means there'll be fewer fresh people to come into the game.
Okay, so to me, that is a factor, but not a huge factor. Wait, what is that? What is that? In 1 second, there's a call coming in. I have to take it.
Go for it.
Sorry about that. What did I miss?
Nothing.
Was I the last person to talk?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Can
was
I kind of
saying,
circle us back
yes, please do.
to like, okay, the first topic that you introduced is a really hard topic. Um, the things that came up in my mind were, history. What has history shown us? Another thing that came to mind was, how is this related to science? You know, and I mean, like the fundamental, like what happens when our body is diseased, because it feels like a disease, right? Evil feels like a disease. Um, and then of course my fantasies played out. Well, what would happen if all of the evil, gross people like Epstein, and the Canadian dude, what if they were eliminated? What would happen? You know. So those are the things that tossed around in my mind. Now with Jax, with the teenagers, the thing that came in my mind was more like, uh, so my kid has a chance to go into college. Like, oh, good. Maybe
There's
there's
a
not too
teenager.
much competition. But those are my initial thoughts for both topics.
Jack?
Well, I've said my piece.
So I didn't understand one aspect of your question or response, Kayla. You said history shows us something. What was the point that you were making there? Because I didn't quite get it.
Well, that was the question. What does history show us? Like what, with these awful, evil people, secret societies, raping, baby eating, nasty, like what, like, can we look at that again? It's just kind of like revisiting, okay, well, what happened when this happened and who were they? Um, why were they that way? What similarities did they have? So it was just, that was what was kind of tossed around in my mind.
May I try?
Yeah.
The way society is created, it seems like once someone believes they are above the plebes, above the law, above the commoners, they believe that societal norms don't apply to them. They can move with impunity. They've got servants, they've got lawyers, they've got thugs that they can hire, uh, they've got money that can be thrown at anybody. So even if they're not in the right, they can delay any due process for as long as they want. That's how they escape accountability. And history seems to be telling us this keeps happening. And I think it does keep happening so long as we have societies where the rich can get richer and richer and richer and richer without bound, without protection. Rich people are siphoning off trillions and trillions of assets that could be invested in social infrastructure. Heiner knows this. He's been fighting it for over 5 decades. And yet we don't seem to do anything about it because they control enough of the infrastructure. They can write the laws, they can write the loopholes, they can move their money to the Cayman Islands, they can move it to the Isle of Man, they can hide it in Switzerland. And in the meantime, all those trillions, which they got by building businesses in this country, none of that comes back. They don't pay their taxes. So none of that gets back into the economy. They just siphon it off. And what do they do with it? They build these underground cities. They build these islands where they can abuse people. They spend it trafficking children, by the thousands from country to country. Uh, it's just they've created societies where they're just able to do that. And if you take a look at Citizens United, that was a huge step in this country. That basically meant that votes didn't matter anymore after Citizens United got passed. And that's been over 15 years. elections have not meant anything in 15 years. So, Jack, your questions about how does this connect back to collaborology? To me, it's all about, how do we sense make out of all this? And then how do we construct an understanding of what's going on, which is the product of sense making? And then how do we then navigate our way through it, make decisions, make plans, take action? And then how do we scale that? Those are hard questions, I know, but those are the fundamental questions that in my naivete, I keep asking. And people like Heiner are, to me, an inspiration because Heiner's been asking for even longer than I've been asking. He's been fighting this fight longer. What's that saying that says, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, but those who do have to suffer while those others repeat it? I didn't word it exactly the way it was, but it makes so much sense. All of which comes from the original version, which is what we learn from history is we don't learn from history. I forgot who said that.
So I was thinking in my head how this relates to science. It's just a wild thought. Like, cancer, what do we do to fight it? Like what medicines, what remedies are out there for things that are difficult to get rid of? And then it just got me to think of, who actually is fighting this? What type of remedies are people doing, starting with that's sustainable and scalable? Um, what other possibilities could there be if, you had all of the resources to be able to fight evil and injustice?
Okay, I'll wait 20 seconds for anyone else. Okay, I'll try. Science, to me, I'm not defining it, but to me, it's a way of arriving at the truth. That, to me, makes it a necessary component of the solution. You can't have any effective movement against this without a solid foundation on truth. Because the other side uses propaganda and your distrust of anything you hear or say. Those are weapons. So without a solid foundation where we know what's true and we can actually then construct other derivative truths from that, without that, we're gone. And by the way, that is the foundation of why I'm such a staunch proponent of something like a DKR. And Jack is such a strong, staunch proponent of something like a topic graph or a concept map. I'm putting words in your mouth, Jack, but that's my interpretation.
Topic map.
Topic map. So I think we need to have a way where not everybody, okay, because I do not believe that everybody could or should or wants to do this, but some small set of us should be able to do this. It used to be that would include the journalism profession. That would include the science, profession. But now a lot of people have a mistrust of science because they see where the funding comes from and how that influences the so-called science. And they also see the people that bought up the mass media, and they know that those people control what passes as truth or facts. So we need more people-centric, relatively ubiquitous, people-collected, people-curated news reporting, which is happening with phones and cameras and videos. But I think we don't yet have that equivalent on the science aspect. I think people can learn the scientific method. And it's important that people apply that to whatever they hear or see or read. That to me those are necessary for me on how we address misinformation, propaganda, oppression, the erosion of the First Amendment rights, the erosion of our Fourth Amendment rights. We have to start there. And that's why I say whatever society is going to survive and become better than this one has to be education centric, has to be truth centric. And around that core, we need to put protections. We need to put safeguards so that people can't come in and pollute that core. That pollution is happening when the people with the money write the textbooks. And the people with the money say who or what counts as a vote. We have to protect this education-centric core and build in certifications, training, tests, values. And a society that values truth and education will go much further than one that just listens to the loudest and the tallest and the best looking or the richest. So that's my response to your question about how science factors in here.
So another thought is shared leadership. How can we get the people who are already doing that together? Because obviously, elevating just evolving and elevating really needs, numbers in mass. That's the only way to protect if you think about it, like trillionaires and billionaires, there are only a few. Yeah, there's, only a very small population of them. And so it's ideally you'd want to empower everybody else. But to do that is, a lot of people often see as something that's very big, and you might as well just be comfortable in your own space and not even engage in that, because what's the point, right? But so there are people dedicated to doing that. How do you get them together and do it? I don't know. I'm not articulating it best, just bopping around in my head. So that the people that are doing this work really need to unite.
Yeah, and align. See, I think it's misleading to say there's only a few billionaires and trillionaires because their voice and influence is magnified by their assets. They can now buy campaigns. They can buy visibility. They can buy commercials. They can buy, eyeballs. And clearly they can buy elections. So the fact that there's only a few of them, to me, is a small point. The fact that they have trillions and billions, that's the point, because they can sway what the rest of us think or believe. to a very, very, very influential factor. How
So
else do you think?
that's when you actually like flip the narrative. Those are only their assets. And that's another approach too, is, your value, like your assets. Like the conversation you and I had, Sam, yesterday about hoarding and viewing your assets as they're just things, right? The true beauty of life is your experiences, and you see freedom as you see it. I was sharing with you. To me, freedom is like an open field, or a beautiful forest, or an ocean, and you shared the ability to travel to certain places. That's freedom. So now we're not talking about assets, right? We're talking about like achievable things that most people at this, well, not most people, but people can aspire to while the planet is still green, while we're still alive. But that's the narrative that also needs to switch.
Gotta run. See you all.
Thanks, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Talk to you later. Yeah, I recall that conversation. I think, though, there's a certain boundary below which the saying "money doesn't buy happiness." That
Uh-huh.
saying is true after you've got at least a minimum level of money. Below it, if you can't buy food, if you can't buy clothes, can't buy electricity, can't buy, a roof over your head, money does clearly buy some steps towards happiness.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah,
But that narrative needs to switch.
yes,
That's my whole point. I feel bad that Jack left without exploring, because one of the things that I had wanted to articulate was, I do think that the youth need to be involved heavily into this conversation, because
yes,
sure, they see, and I didn't mean to make fun of the topic. I wasn't making fun of the topic, but that was my original thought, was like, oh, cool, my kid has a chance to go into college. But yeah, the tying into that was the fact that we need more younger people to be involved.
yeah.
So I didn't realize it was like close to 9 o'clock.
Well, it cuts multiple different ways. The fact that fewer teenagers are going to college could also mean that more colleges will close down.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know enough, but I believe certain countries, like Norway, for example, has an open international invitation to come and study in Norway, free tuition. I believe there's also a stipend that they provide.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell Damien.
Yeah, really, I'm telling my own daughter, Veronica.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and Max too. Oh my gosh. And then
Yeah, yeah,
then he'll say like, "Hey, let's move there." And then I'll say yes.
yeah. In fact, about a
Anyhow,
decade ago, Dina wanted me to go there to get a PhD. Maybe now's the time to consider that.
yeah. You know, it, that's another thing that, like, U.S. politics aren't the only politics. We are seeing like a version where we live here. Of course, we see it, right? But we can also learn from other countries and where they're going.
Yes.
I definitely don't know the rest of the world, so it doesn't. Hopefully, it doesn't look like doom and gloom. um, there's some hope, right? That's like all I'm thinking. Like, there's got to be some hope, some type of hope. Otherwise, what's the point of being alive? Like, again, it's just, this is a hard topic because that's where my mind goes. Well, we might as well have World War III. Like, damn it, my dad left. Like, I wish, um, at least he's dead, right? And so, like, I don't want to have that narrative in my head. And I do think we need to invite more people. If you really want to have a robust conversation about this and how to collaborate, we need more intergenerational people to talk about this and people around the world. Because right now, what you're talking about is like, I feel like I don't know if it's shared for the rest of the world or if there's other countries or other people that are trying to remedy this.
Okay, I'm having trouble staying undepressed these days. I believe I'm failing at this. Okay. But here's my understanding of the historical narrative. For a small bubble, like right after the Second World War, we thought we eradicated evil. The 50s was a booming time. The 60s was, 70s, an age of enlightenment in the US. People had freedom. They created new kinds of music. People could actually work, a regular job and support their kids going to college and buy a house with a single income. That was an incredible bubble. And then we, you, I, others of our generations, thought that that bubble would continue. It's not continuing. How many single income households do you know today can support their two kids going to college and buy a house and retire after, 20 or 30 years on a single income? I'm not sure I know anyone today that matches that description. So we hold on this dream that was defined by the 50s and 60s and possibly 70s, because you know what else came by? TV made it popularized. So people thought, wow, this is the way society ought to work. You can be this kind of a, ward cleaver kind of family. You could go to the beach, and, that's what Baywatch spread around the world. But we're hanging on to this myth. So the narrative of history that to me needs to be remembered is history has always been about 89 steps forward, 87 steps back. It's not even 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's like 89 to 87. It's that hard. That's why it's taken tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years to get to where we are. And we, while we were in this bubble, thought, oh, the problem's been solved. Let's just, watch Netflix. Let's just, smoke pot. Let's just, watch movies at the cinema. Let's just drink beer. All the problems have been solved. So we have a huge percentage of civilization that's checked out from trying to level up. At no other time in history has that ever been the case. I believe at no other time in history have so many people, a percentage of society, taken it for granted that they were taken care of for tomorrow and the next year. So
Well,
they
I
don't
don't
think they
know.
have to
Even like
contribute to that.
do you think like the Romans, like I don't know.
The Romans were hugely
I
successful.
hear you.
Okay.
I hear you, Sam. I hear you. I'm just trying to think, instead of being, I get it. I hear your point. I really do. How everybody else can hear, I'm not quite sure. I'm just moving. I'm just moving forward. I'm trying to move forward. Otherwise, on a personal level, like it makes me hate myself. I just want to tell you that it makes me fucking hate myself, and it puts me in a depressive state. And I'm sorry that you feel that way about yourself too. And in some like ways, I see that that focus is necessary to send the word out. But it's hard. And how do we scale that? I'm not sure. I'm just providing my perspective.
Yeah.
Because again, if I stay in that state that you're in, I would give up. And I don't know if a lot of people, I don't know what everybody's emotional learning, their state of emotions are. Hopefully, and that's why I'm like, well, hopefully if we get diverse perspectives on this, then yeah, and that's why it's to unify. But then if you look, and I'm not trying to say that we're going to go to doom and gloom. It's just the way of the world, unfortunately. We do our best to do. We have deep thinkers like you and other people who help, like Heiner, and we just do our best to get through it. How? I had absolutely no idea.
Kayla, thank you for saying that. I think I will try and tone myself down because I'd hate to, push away the last few people who actually come to these conversations, including you and Heiner and Jack.
It's just I don't know. I get it. I totally get it. I wish, like I said, I wish I had your level of articulation. If I had your level of articulation, if in fact I challenge you to go on TikTok or social media and spread your knowledge, because you have a way of describing things that are amazing, and I get it. I get through it. But, if you stay in it for a long time, it's going to be really hard. But you could amplify your voice. I think you personally can connect with a lot of people who feel the same way, and enough people who are talking like this, eventually it spreads.
Okay, Kayla, I will take your suggestion, but I will make a small request. I don't know anything about TikTok. I don't know how to reach those people. Can you help me?
Yeah, sure. In fact, my teenager might be
In
able to
whatever
help
way
you.
you're willing to. Okay? So, yeah, I'll take it from Max or, Damien also.
Yeah. Maybe he'll even find it to be very interesting to hear what you have to say, or maybe not. I don't know.
Okay,
But
I
then, yeah,
will.
okay, you got me thinking about like cells too, and you got me thinking about just generally, history, and all these societies that failed and eventually like disappeared. That's a possibility. How do we become resilient from evil? And then I think of like cells and all of these like awful, how did the COVID happen? How is it that we have, you know, like I said, even science can kind of show us what a few awful, evil things can do, and kill off human beings. But what we do is we just continue to work to find a cure, or to at least alleviate the symptoms, or just work through it.
Okay, I'll take that as a project thread, and I'll connect with you separately on how I can change my tone, change my approach, try and reach a different medium or a different audience, and stop depressing you and Jack and Heiner.
You're not alone, Sam. You are not alone.
Well,
You are
you
definitely not
three,
alone.
you three make me feel like I'm possibly not alone. But other than that, it feels pretty lonely.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? That's how I feel about in my own world and in my own family. I feel very alone. But I'm okay with my loneliness, and with the work that I'm trying to do for myself and my family and the rest of the world. That
Yeah. And by the way, alone doesn't have to be negative.
exactly.
I get your point. I do say, yes, I do feel alone. That doesn't mean that that by itself makes me depressed. It's the other stuff that makes me depressed, not the fact that I'm alone. Well, indirectly it is, because if not enough people understand this, then things are going to get worse. And that makes me depressed.
Oh, totally. You know, what else my mind shifted to was like, oh, AI. You know, can we talk to AI and ask it these things? And I'm like, oh, no wonder all the billionaires are trying to
Yep.
trying to get into AI now. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. I don't have the biggest brain in the world. You know, I don't know if anybody would be able to connect, all of these strengths we have as humans and be able to completely eradicate like the evil that's happening. I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't think any single one of us can do that. We have to sort of
Yeah,
gather our joint strengths. That's why I'm asking. That's why this is a collaborology question.
yeah.
I do like the fact that Jack asked that, though,
I know, I feel
because
bad because
evidently,
I didn't see the
evidently,
time.
sorry.
No. I again feeling guilty that I hope I didn't come off as being insensitive to his topic because his topic was amazing. I just wanted to kind of go from the beginning because I had to let everything percolate first.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think these kind of conversations could not have taken place in 2017 or 2018. We hadn't learned how to do this yet. It took years for us, or me at least, to learn how to do this. And I'm still learning because I know that, as you point out, I still have things to learn about this. Okay, what else can we talk about?
I thought I raised my hand for a long time.
Well,
Oh, sorry,
I
Heiner.
needed
I'm
to
not
let
looking at my
this
phone.
run its course. Okay, so Heiner, you're up.
Well, I listened all the time and I feel very intrigued because it's important to bridge to other generations and to other cultures. And that is actually my zeal. Um, I never used TikTok, but like others here in the circle, I've been doing a lot of things. And I recently used a lot of Gemini and really testing out the real limits. And there are a lot. But before I go into that, I want to tell you when just focusing on the high priests of money and politics and being mean, it's been there. We know it from old cultures that they were controlling, that they, in the name of a god or whatever, were doing sacrifices. And they found solutions, like in syncretism in South America, where they separated the Mai and the Pai. The mother of the tribe has all the women around her, and the Pai has all the boys around it. But it's still this old control schema, calling for ghosts or whatever. And you see, I looked, when was it? Late 70s, in the Opus Angelorum. That's something like Opus Dei. It is a very weird sect being founded between Germany and Austria in a castle south of Salzburg, where all the history is. And they really, from South America, went into Europe and they did this witch hunt uh, horrible cults, incredible. They even infiltrated the Benedictines and the Vatican, and it was stopped because we were a Waldorfschule, and also the Catholic Church, when they saw, oh, they're taking all the inheritance from the old women and old men to build up their own empire and do something like a sister to Opus Dei. So this structure of mean control of you over others who cannot articulate as you, Sam, is something extraordinary. And to really say, we need to do it together, collaborology, or how you call it, is actually maybe the chance we have, because this AI, and I know all these armadas of agents behind and seeding agents and whatever, they have a lot of problems with creativity, ingenuity, with co-creation and compassion. So seeing that we have to make use of a good copy machine or a good calculator or a good hammer is one thing, but to let them take over is something. It's very clear. With Jerome Glenn in the Millennium Project, we discussed a lot on artificial general intelligence or general formal ontology. So there is a lot of things where people now go onto the higher levels, on the meta and the hyper. But definitely we need common frames of references. And we had it in a tribal society, or when we all lived on one island or in one valley, and the big mountains saved us from the others. This is not there anymore. So we need other expanded reference schemas. And maybe in a few weeks, or at least in June, I will be ready to speak about it. I have done a 200, 300 pages opus together with Bart. Bart is a predecessor of Gemini. And we have all the system scientists coming together to Cyprus for 70 years, international system sciences. And I tell them we need also general models, and we need axiology and ontology and formal, all these things. It is in my preparations. I want to publish it post-mortem, then I don't have to stand the heat. But maybe I can share it with you, Sam. You seem to be also such an egghead, or whoever is there, of the inner circle, but also of the circle like we have here, where independent young women from other cultures with totally other viewpoints can add to the souls to have it really alien digestible, and also for youth and the elders, because I worry very much about the elders nowadays when they have nothing concrete anymore. They cannot even communicate anymore because they need a QR code and they will never get what that means. So anyway, I didn't want you to ramble on. I will continue listening to you. But Sam, we have to try to find the language for the young generations. And just playing the game of TikTok is not the way to go. It is that we have to strengthen our axiology, our concreteness, and include the context across languages, cultures, scales, and belief systems. So this has been my ramble I'm working on now since a couple of months with Bart. Over.
By the way, I don't think that TikTok was meant to be the solution. It was a channel to a whole new set of people. That's what I heard it as.
Yeah. And I want to tell you guys that all of the fucking kids are on TikTok. They are all there. My kids, I was talking to my son because I hear that talking to teenagers in parallel actually works. And he was on TikTok while I was talking to him. Not the ideal situation, not what I learned, but what's happening right now.
Yeah, no,
And
it's good.
so
Good to know.
just like it's a good channel and there's billions of people on there.
Like, like if you want to reach people, you have to go where they are.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you want to be a rebel, why don't you use people's shit against them?
Okay, tell me how to do it, and I'll try a new tactic.
Yeah, you could even have filters, Sam.
Would that make me look
You don't want to look old.
more photogenic than this?
Well,
Ay,
sure.
ay, ay.
I put filters on.
I actually don't have a TikTok, so I don't even know what you're doing there.
Oh, just look on my Facebook page. I posted something about me and my dog. That was a filter.
Okay, okay, all right.
Everybody thought I just had makeup on. I'm like, no, man, that was a filter. I'm
Okay.
glad that. Thank you, Heiner, for that. I loved listening to you. You know, can I say something about conversations in general? And
No.
this is what I learned. Okay.
Come on. You know me.
Well, this is what I learned about this group in when I first started coming here. Okay. I was afraid to use my voice because I thought you guys would think less of me. Again, I'm not as articulate as you, Sam. I don't have a fabulous career like Heiner does, or, I didn't go to a university, that's well sought out, or anything. I didn't have any of that, but I wanted to come because I was curious and I knew I had enough self-confidence to know that my voice matters, and enough education to know my voice matters too. And I wanted to learn. I had an open mind. I really wanted to see what the rest of the world was talking about, and what the rest of the types of people and generations, you know, from around the world. And so I was happy to find this space. But what I learned about conversation is it doesn't really matter when it comes down to the heart of problems and solving it in a big scale. The ones that work are all inclusive. They invite people from all different backgrounds, all different generations, and I hope that everybody here will take that into consideration. And I know for the most part, you guys are good for it with the youth, but please include some of the people that you might not find to be articulate. Give them a voice. Ask them questions. Be okay with them cursing from time to time or not using big words. Be okay with them showing up as themselves and learning. I see this all, like, I've seen this throughout my whole life. There are so many people who have lots of worth, their ideas. I think that's how we fucked up here in the United States. Like, I think there were valid concerns that people had, we'll call them Republicans, and we didn't hear it. And so that's one thing that being inclusive has taught me, is to not discount. And I see it all the time. It happens all the time. even here in Ventura County, you know, I can wear something from the Polynesian culture that costs way more than somebody paid for um, their own suit and tie. But the way they see it is, oh wow, you dressed casual. No, man, I didn't. So, like, yeah, if you've never seen this on anybody, did you even ask me in the first place why I chose it? You know, it's so there's different. It's just another lesson um, for the people who refuse to look like the, you know, to conform. You know, celebrate them.
The reason I'm taking so long is I'm looking for cases where I might have been dismissive of other voices, but I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm not pointing anybody out or anything out or any
Well, you know me, I always take things
instance.
personally.
Oh yeah, I do too. You know, but it's good. It's good to reflect from time to time. Uh oh. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Myself.
I think the hard part has been getting people to come and participate and feel safe and stay. I know I have a problem with that. So apparently, you, Jack Heiner, feel welcomed and safe. Maybe not completely, but mostly because you show up.
Oh yeah, we have courage too.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I think is really important is accountability and courage. You know, I know there are a lot of people in positions of leadership that fucked up, you know, and I know some of them have come around and said, yeah, I screwed up. Um, whether or not the timing was good, eventually they came to that conclusion. And that's just something to consider.
That's respectable.
Okay, so I'm masculine. Excuse me a little bit, this chaos. I'm going on air in the night. And so I'm playing a little bit with background and all this. So you see, it will be all a green screen in the end. What I want to say, I feel like Kayla because what's happening to her is happening to many people, and we are not experts in all fields. And I joined this conversation originally with Tammy because she was clear enough for me to be a good counterpart to go into her jargon of whatever, Vancouver or LA or the city. And I took it as an exercise to learn English. No, I spoke English before. I mean, to really understand you talk um, in audio sessions, or I worked very much in with using just telecommunication, just telephone to communicate. And then the people had this strong jargon And this strange thinking, alien thinking, that it needs encouragement. And I, working much with kids and handicapped and elder, they are afraid. And when they are not raised in a safe environment, when they have their karma and experiences and being whatever, women have a lot of problems with that, especially in this society, that they are mistreated, that they don't have a chance to really listen to a subject-oriented conversation. And this is very techy here, with us speaking on the history and then on the media and then on the cultures and then Collaborology or whatever. I mean, you cannot even pronounce it, is really making people afraid. And what I wanted to say, we have to secure safe environments for kids, that they feel strong enough to really ask this bloody question. Hey, man, what the heck are you saying there? Do you know what you say? Can you walk the talk? So anyway, this is where I felt very close to Kayla, because when you're from another background, from another island, from another star or world, then it needs a lot of strong basic skills and confidence. And if then that is there, then everything you can learn, even the jargon of Sam or me.
Thanks, Heiner. Letting things soak in.
I agree with Heiner. Like, we really do need to make it more safe for elder people and younger people to speak. And I'm guilty of, not focusing so much on the elders. Anyways, I was watching I think it was America's Top Model, and the reality of it, and how a bunch of young women came forward and talked about how mistreated they were, and how it was just an awful story about how things were done to them in the name of entertainment that should never have been done to them. I'll give you an example. This is a harsh example, but one of the models, she came from working at Walgreens to being in this television show, and she, had a boyfriend at the time. But anyways, she got really drunk, and ended up fooling around with somebody, and the cameras followed her and filmed the entire thing. And that was like in the early 2000s. And so she, like, had these thoughts in her head and just couldn't really articulate it at the moment, because it was, number one, her voice was stifled. Number two, she didn't feel safe to say what she wanted to say, as most of the young women didn't feel safe to say what they had wanted to say back then. And it just kind of brings to light, like, what happens when you have this instinct that's like, oh, something's wrong. I need to say something, but you can't because you don't feel safe and your voices eventually become stifled. So it's really important to empower the youth to have a safe space, you know, to speak their truth in their mind. Empowerment is so important. And older people too.
If I'm reading between the
Sorry.
lines, are you saying that TikTok is the youth's safe place right now?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure in some respects it might not be, because if somebody has a really strong opinion that doesn't sit well with the majority, yeah, they get roasted. But I was actually asking, so Max, his friend, and I were driving to Orange County, and it was a good 2.5 hour drive. And so I was asking them questions about social media, and I asked them about bullying. I'm like, hey, does online bullying happen? You know, and I was really trying to see like who's been bullying my son, right? See if he would say anything in front of his friend, because you know usually they're a lot more apt to talk about personal things when there's more of them. And they both actually launched into the discussion of, oh yeah, bullying used to happen a lot. You know, people would make these awful content, talk crap about other people, um, and now it doesn't happen. Like people are really frowning upon rage bait. That's what they said. Like people don't like that. Like the youth doesn't like um, those who kind of post just for the sake of rage baiting. But it was a really interesting conversation. um, More people are actually speaking up to, something that's a little bit more productive and kinder, I guess,
Hmm.
in TikTok.
I'll have to go on there and start getting the sense of that culture.
Yeah, just be careful of your algorithms because they're pretty scary. The algorithms, oh my gosh, just what I typically do is if I don't want to see like people talking about Epstein so much, because it's hard. It really is hard to digest a lot of the crap that he did. It's disgusting. There's a lot of detail. I don't know what's true or not. There's a lot of political crap there too that is, it just makes my heart beat really fast in a bad way. It just rises my blood pressure. And so my defaults are like looking at huskies and babies.
Mhm.
So just make sure that you have like a healthy way to shift the algorithm when you find yourself immersed in the toxicity of all of this negative information.
Yeah, versus adding to that toxicity.
Yeah. Ah,
Well, when I see forwarded TikTok videos, some of them are forwarded into, let's say, Reddit or Facebook or X, Twitter. To me, I could be wrong, but they look like they're more produced, that they're shorter, they're faster, they're quick impacting, they seem to be well edited. So I'm thinking, well, that's not me right now. I haven't learned to do that. I haven't done that. So even if I were to say, take a 20 or 30-second excerpt from one of these CSG videos, I think it would be boring compared to what I see on TikTok. That's my impression at the moment, however. So I'm wondering whether it needs to be more edited, whether it needs to be more sped up, whether I need to change my delivery, uh, because I don't know yet enough about the audience and the protocols on TikTok. Over.
I mean, do you want to reach them fast? What is your strategy to doing that? Like, do you want to learn first?
Yes,
Um,
obviously. Yeah.
okay. So learning first would mean just putting your shit out there. Like, you never know. If it's boring, if you think like, for me, I always tell people this: just come with your authentic voice. The right people will hear.
Okay.
If you try to be somebody you're not, if you try to make it to where, you know, if you want all of the following fast, it's just not going to happen unless there's some sort of weird thing that you posted that, you know, somehow grabbed the algorithm. But come with your authentic voice first, and then just see your following grow.
I'm not there for a following. I'm there for basically on your recommendation.
Yeah. Well, then don't worry about being boring.
Yeah, I won't
Sam,
turn
like
it
I
into a
said,
rap.
yeah, you no, please don't. Like I said, you're very articulate. I think you'll be really surprised.
Yeah, but I
I
gotta
think the
buy new
reason why when you
clothes
go
and
and yeah, when you go and get coffee, everybody's quiet. It's because I don't know, for me, I like listening to you talk. You say it a lot better than I would.
I appreciate that feedback. I do feel like I talk too much here.
It's good. You aren't rambling. Well, maybe you are, but it's rambling that is digestible. Like the people here want to hear it.
I do appreciate you, Jack, Heiner, Eric, those who do show up from time to time.
What is Eric?
Eric is busy with his new music accountability.
Aw.
Remember, he got different roles in church and or temple, I forget. So he's got responsibility for 2 or 3 new events that somebody else used to run. So his stature there seems to have grown and his schedule has gotten busier.
Mm.
And I looked back, I think Stacy has not been here since about August.
Yeah.
And I think I could pinpoint the exact question she asked me. What was that? Pushed her away. It'd be good to see Harry and Tammy again. Doug on occasion. And remember Alex from Australia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He still posts from time to time. I think the time got difficult for him and he felt like he probably didn't have a voice. And Colin
Yeah.
and Anna. Do you remember Anna? Or was
Of
she
course
before
I
your
do.
time? Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I don't think she liked the fact that I got a new house.
What?
It was really strange. Yeah, it just came across that. I mean, she's not here to defend herself, so I don't want to get too much into it. But when I told her that, yeah, you know, we're buying a new house and my parents putting a down payment on it, it's great. And she's just like, you are living out your parents' dream. The way she said it, it came out as really negative. And I was like,
Uh,
oh, why would you say that?
I hadn't realized that. I didn't hear that. I wonder, was I there?
No, no, I think this was just something between me, her, and Tyra. Well, the three of us would have conversations sometimes that are independent from the regular conversations.
Uh, This is giving me a lot to think about. In TikTok, nobody's off video, right? TikTok is not
No,
welcoming of just audio, right? You have to be on camera, right?
I mean you can I don't know if you want to put like a puppet there and then talk
Ah,
like you're talking,
oh yes, I should get AI to make me a photogenic version of myself.
or like animation or something.
No, you said show up authentic, so I'm just going to show up authentic and unfiltered,
Yeah,
unshaved, or unshaven. What's the right word? Unshaven.
yeah. Some people will be all for it.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Hey, aren't they typically short, like
Shit.
10, 20, 30 seconds? Or I don't know. I'll have to ask you all these advice.
Hold on, Sam.
Okay, holding.
Did with my audio. Hold on. Come on.
Your microphone still sounds fine.
Testing. Testing, testing. Oh,
Yeah, your
come on.
audio is coming through.
Uh-oh. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank goodness. Whew. Okay, now I can hear you. Did you ask a question or did you say something? I
Oh,
didn't
I
catch
was
it.
asking about, I don't know how many questions you missed. The average TikTok post length, are they typically short, like 20, 30 seconds or 10 seconds? Or how do I need to moderate that?
3 minutes. But they do have like 10 minutes now. You can go up to 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll start with something short or not. What do you think? Should I write out something like 100 words or 500 words, or what do I try?
I would say stick to one subject and try and
Oh,
condense
yeah,
it.
yeah, right. Okay.
Like when you were talking about, I don't know, time yourself. Like there's a
Okay,
lot in this conversation you could use.
yep. I'll tell you what. I have a list, like I said, of topics to discuss. I'm going to do like a quick blurb. I don't know how long it's going to end up being. Probably somewhere between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. And I'm just going to record like two or three of these. Okay. I'll look into the camera. I'll just say my mind. Okay. And I'll let you say, give me a bunch of feedback. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah,
start
that'll be
with that
fun.
without posting anything. Okay. I'll just give you those two or three little examples. And then you could say, well, here's how you should alter blah, blah, blah. And then we could do that a couple of times. All right.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Sure.
Yeah, you've made this recommendation before, so I'm now gonna try it.
What? What'd you say?
Yeah, you've recommended that I get on TikTok before, and I haven't done it for other reasons. And those reasons still apply, but
Oh,
I'm gonna take your advice. Are you not able to hear me?
Yeah. No, now I can hear you. No, but I heard you.
Okay, all right, all right. Oh, interestingly, I'm not yet active on Blue Sky either. I'll have to see whether that's
I'm
a,
not active on Blue Sky. I don't even know what that is.
and I'm not active on Threads either.
Neither am I.
I am trying to
Nice.
get a little bit more active on Reddit though. But I'm also finding that they are still editing or filtering or censoring some stuff. See, Twitter censors, Facebook censors, um,
Well,
Reddit
you'll find
censors.
out if TikTok censors.
Do you know? I suspect they do.
Probably.
They used to be owned by a Chinese company, but have they been in part purchased by some U.S. company like Trump was threatening? I don't even know what happened.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Because I don't know if U.S. Company bought a minority stake or a majority stake in TikTok. I have to catch up on that. Because if a U.S. company bought a majority stake, yeah, it's probably going to get censored.
You'll find that there's certain things that you can't say either. Like,
Okay,
I think
therefore it is censored.
you can't say death or rape, yeah, there's just certain words. Yeah, you're right.
That
They are
is so
censored.
fucking stupid.
But
God, I hate that.
so people have to say like grape,
Yeah, I've seen that.
or they have to point to like,
there's, or if they say death, you can do it where it's you spell out death, but then with the E you make that into a 3.
Yeah, I've seen people
So
use unalive versus kill.
there's ways around the censorship. I know it's not ideal, but is it? I'm trying to look for my AirPod case because you keep cutting in and out, but well.
Okay, I'll try a few of these examples, and then you'll let me know how to alter it for appropriateness. I guess I'll log in and try and check out what's being posted there.
Oh, Heiner has his hand up. Oh my gosh, I can see.
Heiner,
Yes. I enjoy. Maybe we test TikTok together. Many young people try to coax me to do that, but you see, I'm so incredibly busy. I leave it to the younger generation and ask them, what can I improve to bring it to my world? And no, I wanted to say something else. I think, Sam, that Kayla would be the ideal person to look into the email I was sending you this morning, because we have tonight a horrible situation. We are celebrating the equinox Earth Day since 1970, and that was not only the official UN Earth Day with Margaret Mead in the beginning, but in 4 weeks the UN is closed. In New York, in Vienna, in Geneva, only guards are there. No public administration, no diplomats, nobody. But we still celebrate the peace bell ringing, even when we don't have the official UN peace bell dedicated by the Japanese to us. And we only learned it as civil society very late. First, our people in Vienna, then in Geneva, and then only 10 days or a week ago, our civil society in New York at the UN headquarters have been informed. And we are just creating an alternative media strategy. And so the links and what it is all about, you can take any bell and you can do it like John Denver. Every day is Earth Day, but to do it in the spirit of all cultures, we use the southern equinox and the southern equinox to really do it with singing and synchronous ringing the same time. Maybe you know a bell, or you join us in our Zoom session. It is afternoon in Europe and in the morning in New York. So it's very good time this time for Atlantic countries. Very often it is that we were getting up at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning or midnight. This time we really want to give it a major bang for peace and this unity in diversity. what I tried in various publications in the UN, in the headquarters with Kofi Annan and wherever. So I think especially Kayla might find it of interest to look at it. And this has been my thing. I didn't want it to interrupt, but I have visitors coming now, so I take again my video off.
Heiner, thank you for that. Kayla, just while Heiner was speaking, I did forward Heiner's email to me to you. And
Awesome.
when Heiner
I'll check it
was
out.
saying, okay, also Heiner, when you were talking about ringing a bell, I hit my gong. Did you hear me hit my gong, or did I get filtered out?
You got
Well,
filtered out.
Wait,
you see,
did you say?
we to do a real professional streaming, like with StreamYard, we had with the Earth Equinox and whatever, also a lot of professional movie and documentary filmers and the whole media biz doing it, Berlinale, Cannes, LA. We know all these parties. So you will be probably also available to join. But I think if we have 5, 6 official bells ringing, that would be good. But I think it is important to say we love Earth Day. We like it in April, we like it in May, we like it every day, but we have to do something for all cultures and also the indigenous people, and not only for the haves and not for the have-nots. So anyway, look at it. We can talk about it next week. I only started now because we still have 4 weeks to go.
That's good. I will give it a read. By the way, Kayla, it appears to be in German, so you
Oh,
can feed that to translate.google.com.
awesome.
I'm going to try reading it first in German and see if I get it.
By the way, completely off topic, but Max is going to learn French next year.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, tell Max that I've been looking at real estate in France, and France actually looks really attractive. It's popping up
Yeah.
on my list of priority countries.
I speak a little bit of French. Not a lot, but a little bit. I'm looking forward to revisiting my French when he starts his lessons.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. This is again a little bit off topic, but when I'm looking at places to go, I'm getting a lot of information about the countries that I keep naming, but never does anything about Germany pop up. So it doesn't appear to be a popular place for US expats to retire. That's the sense I'm getting. I'm going to have to ask Heiner about that later. You know, France pops up, Greece, Italy, you know, these other countries that I've been mentioning, but not once has Germany popped up. Could be just me and the algorithm's understanding of me. Well, I do recognize it's about 3 minutes to the top of the hour. There's been a lot that I have soaked in that I want to let bounce around in my head. Thank you for that, Kayla. Thank you for that, Heiner. Thank you for that, Jack. And I'll ping you later on about some of these TikTok things, Kayla.
Yeah. We still need to catch up. I'm interested to hear how last night went.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you that too.
Yeah, be fun.
Shall we call it a day then?
Yep, I'm down.
Okay, Heiner. Bis später, Kayla. Talk to you later.
All right.
I'll
Bye.
ping you, Kayla.
Okay. Bye.